What's good, YouTube? It's Aquarius Leviathan Prophecy. And yeah, man. So I was watching First Take today, and man, Antoine Walker went off on James Harden. He basically said that he didn't like the way he played, and he basically said that you can't win a championship playing like that in today's era or any era, especially no. He said that you can. He said that you can't win with that style, and what he means is that James Harden takes about 7 to 8 dribbles a game, and then he shoots. Back then you didn't play like that. You had your role players, you had your stars, and you had your bench players. You had your reserves. That's about it. The superstar or superstars, depending on how many superstars you had on the team back then, that's who you go to. You know what I'm saying? That's who you go to. And I just think that, that era where you just had like two superstars, or one superstar per team, that's where your bread and butter goes to. If you can shoot, shoot it. If you can't shoot, just do something else. Be a defensive stopper or get a key steal or do something. You know what I'm saying? But that's the era that he played in, and he also won a championship with the Boston Celtics, playing with Big Pert. And he also had a little bit of gambling issues, and he went bankrupt, and obviously James Harden didn't bring that up, but shoot, I'm going to shoot. But because I never disliked James Harden. I think James Harden is a cool dude. I think he's one of the best top three shooters in his generation. But people don't want to give him the credibility because of his playing style, and everybody wants to critique his playing style. It's not the first. Like Walker's not the first person to criticize James Harden playing style. Like Giannis did that like last year, and then all you do is step back and travel and dribble and stuff like that and shoot threes. And James Harden clapped back at him saying that all you do is just dunk. Like that requires no skill. Cause all you're doing is just running and seeing how high you can jump. And then obviously, NBA voiceover made like a little, meme clip about it. But yeah, man, there's always black on black hate. I don't get that. Antoine Walker can't seem to get his face out the news. That dude had some serious gambling issues. Serious, because I watched that 30 for 30. If y'all haven't watched it, it's a very great documentary. It basically shows players that go broke at the end of their careers. 50 Cent, musicians, artists, athletes, they covered the whole nine. And Antoine Walker blew, I think it was like 1.9 million he blew. And I said, how in the hell do you blow that much money up in one day? That's crazy. I can see why his ass was out the league that fast. Like nobody, like who the hell is James? Like who the hell is Antonio Walker? Like that dude, like he had Botox, all that freaking injections, fat in the face looking ass. You know what I'm saying? But what did James Harden do to you? Like he said that he basically said that his style of play it bugs him. Like I would never put that much leverage into James Harden. Like meaning I would never give up so much for James Harden, whether it was Houston Rockets James Harden or Brooklyn James Harden or OKC James Harden, it doesn't really matter, because he wasn't playing like that when he was in OKC. That's when he got to Houston, he was playing like that. You know what I'm saying? Because he was the only star. And the Rockets did everything they in their power to make him happy. They gave him Chris Paul, they gave him Dwight Howard, they gave him Carmelo Anthony. You know what I'm saying? They gave him Russell Westbrook, and what did happen? Nothing. The closest that they got was obviously forcing a game 7 against against the Golden State Warriors with a KD and a Clay and a Curry and a Draymond Green. That's it. And Max talking about, well, if this and that, like Max is the last person who should be talking about basketball. His ass, every time ESPN comes on or First Take comes on, they should have like a segment where he just talks about boxing, because that's the only thing that he's good at talking about. Like, for a person who don't know a lick of sports, who've never played any sports, has been a terrible rapper. Like you could go on YouTube and click Max Kellerman rapping. It's like I think it's like a 25 or 30-second clip of him just rapping. Didn't necessarily go far. Trying to be the next Eminem or try to be the next Vanilla Ice didn't necessarily work. So I think when it comes to basketball, he should just shut the hell up, because sometimes he don't know what he's talking about. If it wasn't for a pre-snap, whatever he said, the Rockets would have. First of all, the Rockets wouldn't even beat Golden State Warriors. The Warriors at that time was already loaded. So I don't think, the Rockets forced the game 7, but they still lost, But, I mean, it is what it is. But anyways, man, but like I said, man, I have no problem with James Harden. I really don't. He's the only player in the NBA that I highly, don't have a problem with. You know what I'm saying? I think he deserved. I think he should have been, a champion a long time ago. It's just that, he was just on the Baby Thunder team. You know what I'm saying, at the time. And then obviously when he went to, Houston, like I said, the organization gave him everything that they could. And I don't think the organization was going to go overboard with it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think if James Harden would have stayed there for longer, it would have probably derailed them. And they still looking not so good. Even when James Harden left, they still not looking good. So, but, Antonio Walker, man, you're wrong. You're wrong in the sense of, yes, James Harden was playing like that with the Rockets. I've seen a couple of games of him. He's playing very well. He's not knowing that he has 2 other All-Stars he can count on. He doesn't necessarily do too much like he did in Houston. He gets a lot of people involved now. He's not doing a lot of ISOs like he did in Houston. He's getting a lot of people involved. So I don't know if he was talking about that, James Harden, or if he was talking about, Brooklyn James Harden. Because if he was talking about Houston James Harden, I would understand. But if he was talking about Brooklyn James Harden, that kind of confuses me a little bit. And then James Harden claps back, and James Harden basically said that, there's ISO, there's pick and roll, there's, isolation, you know what I'm saying? There's screens. So, I mean, I don't understand what is he talking about, you know what I'm saying? So, and this is a dude that Antonio Walker wasn't really bad of a player, to be honest with you. He just got out the league real fast because his body rejected him. He didn't necessarily take care of his body, and his body rejected him, and then he just had a whole bunch of injuries, and, he just had to call it quits. You know what I'm saying? But nobody really brings him up all too well. Like if you would have ranked them, you would have probably ranked them 1 through 100. You would have probably ranked them at 99. You know, because he won a championship, you would have probably put him at 99 or probably at 100. You know, if you would have listed your top 100 superstars or your top 100 NBA players, you would have probably put him at 100. You know what I'm saying? So nobody actually knows, like in this generation, nobody actually knows who Antonio Walker is. If you were to ask anybody, you would say, who? Who's that? You know what I'm saying? But I just think that he was wrong. You don't hear Tom Brady saying that, oh, I don't like the way Eli Manning played. Oh, I don't like the way Drew Brees played. Or he could take a step further and say, "Oh, I don't like the way Michael Vick played," or "I don't like the way Kaepernick played." You know what I'm saying? Or the way RG3 played, because they just, I don't know, man. There's always a black on black hate. You know, like, and I might be wrong. There is some white people that do, you know, turn their cheek sometimes. But in my time watching sports, never, never. Like, it's just crazy how people, how black people can't get along. You still can't get along. You know what I'm saying? I thought, because when I read it, I thought Antonio Walker had some encouraging words to say to Harden. He's saying, I'm not a fan of James Harden, and and back in my day, we didn't really dribble the ball too much. If you were a point guard, you would just dribble like 3 times, pass and shoot. It's a different age, different era. You know, people adapt, teams adapt, players adapt. You know, like players are not gonna still play like this is the '80s and '90s and early 2000s. People adapt, players adapt. Now, what he says, maybe some truth to it. Maybe James Harden's style of play will never win him a championship. You look at Allen Iverson, you look at Steve Nash. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at some of the players that never won a championship. Maybe was their style of play. Maybe their style of play didn't necessarily fit what the team was doing. You know, like as much as Allen Iverson, as much as I loved Allen Iverson was me, myself, and I. You know, but it didn't really. It showed that in the stat sheet because he was a combo guard. Allen Iverson never led the league in in assists. He did lead the league in steals 3 times. He was a 3-time scoring champion. But to get your players involved is a huge compliment. It's a huge accomplishment. And if you can average 9 assists per game, that's even better. Um, it's just one of those things, man. Like, but nobody dared question Allen Iverson's talent. Whether or not he wanted to play with another big man or whether or not he wanted to play with another superstar. He went to Denver, teamed up with Melo, didn't happen. He went to the Grizzlies, Pistons, and then obviously he went back to Philadelphia for 1 year, and then obviously he retired around the 2010 season, I believe. And Derrick Rose was still an up and coming rookie superstar, I believe, or I believe he was in his second for his first year. You had Westbrook, who was also an up and coming. So you had all these explosive point guards coming up when Allen Iverson, said his, final farewell. You know what I'm saying? Shaq was still in the league. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy how people can just bash people for no reason. Yeah, like I said, do I think James Harden's style of play will ever win him a championship? No. Why? Because Michael Jordan said the same thing. Michael Jordan said the same thing. Michael Jordan said, "You want to stat pads or you want to win championships? You can't have both. Do you want to stat pad? You want to stat pad or you want to win championships?" I think James Harden gets the picture. Unlike Russell Westbrook, who doesn't. Because that's the only person that I hate. I hate Russell Westbrook. I really do. If there's one person I hate in the NBA, it's Russell Westbrook. I can't stand his ass. I really can't. I'd rather take an MVP Derrick Rose. I'd rather take an MVP Derrick Rose before I take Russell Westbrook. And what did they say about Russell Westbrook coming out of UCLA? Oh, he's a volume shooter. He's a streaky shooter. He uses athleticism too much, this and that. And look, behold, they were right. They're not right all the time, but I'm pretty sure the people who did their homework on Russell Westbrook, they were dead on right. Or the analysts or the scouting who did their homework on Russell Westbrook, they were dead on right. He is a volume shooter. He does shoot a lot. He's a streaky shooter. He's not Curry. He uses his athleticism too much. So, like, comment, subscribe. If you agree with me, let me know in the comment section down below. And till next time, take care of yourself and each other. And kill this fly.